The governor pushes back on questions about his universal pre-K program, saying students don't need full-day preschool, and some parents who want it are just looking for somebody to take care of their kid all day.
There's a difference between preschool and childcare. We are funding high-quality preschool. This is quality.
Denver's plan for a massive expansion of tiny home villages to fight homelessness hits a snag because City Council just saw a list of the sites. The scramble to find new ways to bring fresh food to a low-income community without the grocery options of other neighborhoods. And hey, it's not these kids' fault that their school district is one of the most troubled in Colorado. As they head back to school this week, an idea of how we can make their year more successful. Because why just watch when together we can make Colorado better? On Next. The city of Denver is already reworking its list of possible tiny home village locations after getting instant pushback from City Council. These locations are key to Mayor Mike Johnston's unprecedented pledge that he can end homelessness within his first term. First, Johnston says that they're going to get 1,000 people off the streets by the end of this year. And today, we got our first look at how the city plans to do it. The mayor's point man on homelessness told City Council today that they can use existing housing options for about 500 people. And then another 500 people can go into what are called non-congregate shelters, usually repurposed hotels. But to achieve what no other major American city has ever done, end homelessness, Johnston wants to scale up these tiny home villages, go from 50 to 500 by the end of this year. Johnston ran on that pledge. Now, he declined to share the location list when we asked during the campaign. Now we know City Council at least has seen it, because they're not sold.
The first list I saw from the mayor's office had, the District 5 properties were Stack Elementary School, Hill Middle School, someone's private house, the right-of-way in front of the Eating Recovery Center, and a 10-foot strip of land on Fifth Avenue.
Obviously, the list that was originally considered being published was not ready for that, and we're grateful to council for the feedback that we got on that, and we're working on being able to produce a real vetted list of options for where micro communities might go.
So that there was Cole Chandler, who's heading up the mayor's homelessness plan. He told council that the city's real estate division is working on a revised list of sites for these micro communities, these tiny homes, and that would begin with the parking lots of the existing hotel shelters. So the mayor's first move on this was to declare a citywide state of emergency on homelessness. He did that on day one. But today, City Council said they want to see some more specifics on policy and on spending before they vote to extend that state of emergency next month. You think that incoming students are nervous this time of year? Preschool providers tell us they don't know how many students they're going to have on the first day of school because of the chaotic rollout of the state's universal pre-K program. Caught up with Jen Chase, owner of Tiny Tots and Tumblers, a private pre-K in Brighton. They're enrolled in the state's universal pre-K program, and they've used the state's portal to see how many parents have been matched with their school. But Chase says some of those parents don't realize there is a crucial extra step. They actually then have to enroll and register with the school itself. It's a step that is required by state law. And Chase says come Monday, she's worried she's going to be turning families away.
We're worried that parents will be frustrated, or we're worried that they're not going to show up, and we don't know if that's a spot that's open and available in our program now. We don't know if they've withdrawn or if they're going to come and try to continue with enrollment. It's lots of extra steps on our part.
Chase says the confusion over enrollment is extra frustrating because providers were originally told that they would be funded based on capacity. That funding will now be based on enrollment, so providers like Chase still are not sure how much state funding they will receive. We've talked about this for a number of days now, so let's kind of take a step back. Taxpayer-funded pre-K was a key campaign promise from Democratic Governor Jared Polis, and he has received a lot of praise for getting it through the state legislature. Today, politics guy Marshall Zellinger sat down with the governor to ask if he takes any responsibility for fixing the rough rollout that pulled full-day preschool away from thousands of families at the last moment. The governor suggests that some of those families just want free daycare.
Why weren't 9,100 parents given more than a couple weeks' notice before school started?
Well, I wish that a lot of the documents were echoed the same points I made. This is a half-day universal preschool program. That's what the voters approved. It's also developmentally appropriate. kids benefit the most in that 15 to 20 hour range.
While visiting a Douglas County preschool this afternoon, Democratic Governor Jared Polis answered our questions about the rollout of universal pre-K. 39,000 preschoolers have been matched with schools. That's twice the preschool enrollment as last year, before the state started paying for half day, which begins this year.
The biggest dread and nightmare I had, Marshall, if you'd asked me a year ago, was that we would have parents with nowhere to send their kid because there wasn't enough space.
3,700 of the state's neediest families found out they would get full-day preschool funding, but 9,100 of the state's neediest families learned late last month they were only getting half-day funding.
There's a difference between preschool and childcare. We are funding high-quality preschool. So I just want to differentiate those and say we're focused on the pedagogy, the instruction, the academic achievement, the benefits of preschool. We also care a lot about helping families manage their lives and meet their needs for childcare, which again is done in a different way.
I just want to be clear that I'm not misunderstanding.
Sure.
The families that are saying they thought they qualified for full-day preschool, do you believe they're just seeking childcare and that's their debate isn't, oh man, I missed out on the state funding, it's, oh man, I missed out on free childcare?
Well, it's a good question. So you should ask them, are you saying you want to pick your kid up at 2:30 or 5, right? If they say 2:30, then they're in it for the full day preschool because they value that academic experience. If they're saying 5 because I work and I can't pick up my kid to 5, they need a childcare solution. So I'm sure it's some of both, and you probably need to pose that question to individuals. But I can assure you, as somebody who's reviewed the scientific data and the literature, the biggest academic benefit from preschool is in that 15 to 20 hour range.
Polis said in retrospect he would have rather seen half-day universal preschool plastered everywhere. But the UPK website told families that met certain qualifying factors that they could get hours stacked on top of 15, and that's why 9,100 families had to be notified they would not be getting more than 15. Now, Kyle, the governor is pushing for 18 hours funded by the state by the end of his first term, and I incorrectly said last week that he was going to do it by next year. It's the end of his first term. And when I asked if he should be promising more hours before the state can help the needs of the most neediest families, he said he sees preschool no different than K through 12, equally open to everyone, no matter how much you make.
Last night here we talked about what if the state reworked the system to more of like a voucher program where parents were in charge of finding the best school for their kids rather than being assigned one by the state?
He said it's kind of like that because 78% of the people who went through the portal got their first choice. But that you can't just give someone state funding and hope that they get to where they're going because there could be behind the scenes, I got in first. It should be an algorithm that says not first come, first serve, but we should look at certain factors and not just have backdoor deals that allow certain people who meet certain things get to a school that should be open to everyone.
Bottom line, the state wants to be able to give preference to some families over others and keep families from exerting influence to kind of get in here and there. All right, Marshall, thank you very much. So not to pile on the governor, but this week, a ban on growth caps went into effect. Growth caps are one of the state's best tools to incentivize more housing stock after the very prominent collapse of the governor's big land use bill before the legislature. So when the growth cap ban passed, Lakewood, Golden, Boulder, and Lafayette still had growth caps on the books. They limit the amount of new development per year. Democrats in the legislature outlawed those caps, said that will create more affordable housing. Critics argue that development should be left up to local control. Lakewood was the first to comply this week. They voted to phase out their 1% growth cap over the next 2 years. Golden, Boulder, and Lafayette still have similar limits on development, but haven't yet taken any action. No school district in Colorado has seen the public struggles of Adams 14 in Commerce City. It's the first district to go through a state-ordered reorganization to improve performance. School started there this week with a lot of teachers and students trying to be part of that turnaround story. That's why this week's Word of Thanks microgiving campaign is supporting the Adams 14 Education Foundation's Funding the Unfunded program. That nonprofit helps Adams 14 teachers and staff pay for creative projects and experiences for their kids that simply are not in the district's budget. It's how fourth graders at Kemp Elementary learned about kinetic energy through roller coaster kits. It's how Rose Hill students revived their STEP team. It's how Adams City middle schoolers were able to finish paying for their trip to New York City and Washington. Right now, Adams 14 teachers and staff are putting together their grant applications for this year, outlining what they could do with just a bit of extra funding for the kids in their class. The Adams 14 Education Foundation looks for projects that are creative, original, stuff that can continue after one-time funding or can be reused. and projects that have a strong connection to improving student achievement. And with our help, they'll be able to fund more of those worthy projects. Scan the QR code on your screen or text the word THANKS to 303-871-1491 to get that link to donate. I will never ask you to give unless I do, so I'll match the first 50 donations of $5 to get us started. Students in Commerce City have some real challenges inside and outside school, but their teachers are working hard to make this year special and productive, and we can help.
They come here because this is where they know to get that love from.
Trying to share love and food despite some new challenges in Montbello. And President Biden, talking clean energy today, called out by name one particular Coloradan. President Biden came west today. He was promoting clean energy jobs created through the Inflation Reduction Act while in New Mexico. And he mentioned 850 jobs at CS Wind, massive wind turbine tower manufacturing plant in Pueblo. Biden gave the congresswoman who represents Pueblo a little shout out.
And coincidentally, CS Wind is Congresswoman Lauren Boebert. You know, that very quiet Republican lady? It's in her district, who, along with every other Republican, voted against this bill. And it's making all this possible. And she railed against its passage. But that's okay, she's welcoming it now.
Boebert and every Republican in the House voted against the Inflation Reduction Act. Boebert has a long history of taking credit for projects and bills that she actually voted against. The tornadoes in northeastern Colorado yesterday afternoon could have been so much worse because that might have been a record-breaking storm. Police out there near Yuma say 2 tornadoes touched down outside town last night. Worst reports of damage came from the south side of town, like this home hit southwest of the Yuma airport. Along with the tornado damage, the hail from the storm could be a record breaker. Weather Spotter reported 5.25-inch hail. If that's confirmed, that would be the largest hail ever recorded in Colorado. And Danielle, we still don't have an estimate on the size and power of the tornado. Right. National Weather Service hasn't gotten to that. But it looked like that tornado had the potential to be the kind of storm. People know the storm that hit Holly in 2007. That was an EF3, a really powerful storm. And it looks like what we saw out there last night near Yuma was similarly pretty powerful.
And similar damage, too, when you compare both of those tornadoes, Kyle. Yeah, we're going to be waiting on the National Weather Service, hopefully later tonight or perhaps tomorrow when they officially give the tornado a rating out there. But yes, the damage, unreal. And thank goodness it did not track through town because that could have been so incredibly damaging out there. What a whirlwind in the weather department, because yesterday was so busy out across the eastern plains. We were dealing with heat as well as fires out to the west. Today, the entire state quiet, calm, bright blue skies, temps sitting in the 80s, a little below average, but hey, we'll take it. It felt so nice out there. 60s and 70s up in the mountains, 80s lining up the eastern plains with a few spots like Grand Junction and Cortez in the 90s. This is a snapshot of August thus far. Out at DIA, as far as our temperatures go, look at how cool it has been. Yeah, we've pretty much spent the whole month in the 80s. No 90-degree temperatures on record just yet. As we look at the futurecast, early tomorrow morning, back in business with the sunshine. Tomorrow we will be tracking perhaps 1 or 2 isolated storms that cruise through. It does not look like anything will be severe across the entire state, so that's a bit of good news. But these storms could continue late tomorrow evening up into the high country. Temperatures definitely warmer than where we were at today. Upper 80s into the lower 90s around the metro area. Pretty toasty off to the eastern plains with 60s and 70s to the high country, or back into the 90s. Perhaps our first 90-degree days of August coming our way on Friday and Saturday. Isolated storms for the weekend early next week, but then the summer heat back by next Wednesday.
We're all optimistic. We know it's going to keep going.
I mean, with a name like Struggle of Love, it's not like this group was going to give up on its mission of feeding people and loving on their neighbors, even when some real adversity hit. A nonprofit in Denver's Montbello neighborhood is trying to keep their food distribution program going for their neighbors after they lost their single largest source of funding. Our Angeline McCall has the story.
A month ago, nonprofit Struggle of Love thought this would be over by the end of July.
Heck yeah, we're all optimistic. We know it's going to keep going.
They learned a few months ago the city of Denver denied a grant, meaning their funding for this food distribution was lost.
We got you.
Javon Smith with Struggle of Love
All the way up.
says it takes about $30,000 each month to keep it going in Montbello, an area considered a food desert.
Thank you. God bless. But it feels good for me to sit here and be able to see how happy people comes to get something to eat, because they don't have that.
They're working to use any donations possible to help the 300 plus families who use this resource 3 times a week.
All right, no problem. Thank you. You have a good day. So it's like they come here because this is where they know to get that love from. This is where they know that they can come and get something to eat from.
No funding means this is all volunteer. Positions that used to be paid. Positions that Elon Hodge with the organization says would keep kids off the streets.
We know this is bigger than us and that we have to work hard every day to try to keep it going.
He says it's not a matter of money.
It just motivates all of us every day to try to find all the avenues we can.
It's a matter of what the community needs.
This is God's work. This is beyond us, you know.
The Montbello Organizing Committee was the applicant for that initial grant. They had planned to distribute the majority to Struggle of Love, but the city obviously denied that grant. They're looking for other ways right now to fundraise or get more money so that they can continue this.
And there are a lot of nonprofits telling us very similar stories, as a lot of federal funding that flowed in around the time of the pandemic has dried up. That's constricted their operations. And then at the same time, need has increased within the last couple of months.
Right. So you have to think that SNAP benefits stopped for a lot of people, and that was something that was available during the pandemic. So that stopped. And I've heard that from not only Struggle of Love, but also from other food banks. And then while I was out there today, very large migrant community as well, newcomers coming to Denver who really don't have food sources that are also relying not only on Struggle of Love, but other food banks. And, you know, even when I was there, other people were asking me, hey, are there others in the area too?
Looking for other options. Angela McCall, thank you very much. Back with your feedback next. The most Colorado thing we saw today is fairly electrifying. It's a moose with a little jolt. Danny spotted him in their backyard at Golden Gate Canyon State Park. They're calling him Hank the Electric Moose. Looks like the cover of a National Geographic. Hank, though, does not seem impressed or aware, if you ask me. Adams 14 schools are under a lot of scrutiny these days in a state-ordered turnaround plan. But this week, school started, and inside classrooms, there are teachers who are just trying to teach, and there are students who are just trying to learn. That's why this week's Word of Thanks microgiving campaign is supporting a program called Funding the Unfunded that helps creative teachers in that district do more for their students. It's a program of the nonprofit Adams 14 Education Foundation. Teachers in that district are right now applying for grants to fund special projects and supplies, teams and trips, stuff that is not otherwise within the school district's budget. And each year the foundation comes in, reviews these grant applications, and funds the most creative and worthwhile projects. They'll be able to do more with our help. So scan the QR code on your screen or text the word THANKS to 303-871-1491 to join me in donating to help kids in Adams 14 and their hardworking teachers make this year the best it can possibly be. Doug writes in to say Kyle's next microgiving campaign should be for the nonprofit Millennials in Need of Razors. That was good, Doug. I like that. Tracy Bueno Rodriguez says that she's disappointed in Governor Polis. She's talking about the universal pre-K program. She says this is a great idea, but now it's a mess. Tracy, I mean, the bottom line is these big programs are always going to go through hiccups and hurdles. And our job as journalists is to try and explain what's going on so that preschool families and preschool providers aren't going through it alone. Attention on this issue is hopefully how some of these problems are going to be fixed. And I'm glad the governor was at least willing to sit down today to talk about it, because this program truly was his baby. We'll see you next time.